Hey guys, Phobia again, and today what I'm bringing you guys is my top 5 picks for 3v3 comps for the Shadow Priest. So I'm going to go over why the comp seems good, why I would recommend playing it, and then I'll have a couple honorable mentions at the end. Also, guys, if you guys can go to twitch.tv/Aphobia Gaming, come show the love. We're going, like I said, we're going for our partner. So if you guys just come in, even if you guys just drop a lurk, that works. We're getting bigger and bigger every day again. Trying to do what I used to do. Weekly, maybe twice a week videos as well on YouTube. So likes and comments go a long way. Helps the algorithm. Really helps me and motivates me for all the content. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and get into our first comp. All right, so our first comp is going to be RPS. Probably not a surprise for most people out there who are playing. People know how strong Assassination Rogue is, and people know how strong Shadow Priest is. So there were some nerfs to everybody all around, which makes us even stronger in this comp. That's the reason why it's here, as well is that passive healing across the board has gone down, which means with the proper cross CC in this comp, people can't recover on their own as much anymore. So that makes the Assassination Rogue's bleeds and the Shadow Priest damage overwhelming, and the MS stacks with Siphene. So even though Hemotoxin was nerfed a little bit, Hemotoxin and Siphene do stack. So you have unhealable goes if you time that properly, and then you have spread pressure and cleaving at the same time. Very durable. Rogues are a lot more, can die now, but they're still durable. So that's why I also do recommend playing with mainly a Holy Pally or an Evoker for the sustainability. Right, Evoker can the longevity into the match, go into dampening, with an Evoker. Pally allows the Priest to kite versus melee cleaves, the Rogue to kite versus melee cleaves. You have sacks and bops to let the go happen. You have dispels, like you have double dispels, so it's really nice to have. And it also has poison spell against other rogue comps. So having a paladin on your team and having a evoker on your team. The shaman variant, I think is fine, especially into certain comps like druids and evokers that are gonna be prevalent. That's why shaman's on here. Having a druid and a druid or an evoker on the other team, having a shaman, double purge, and a rogue. You can double purge all in somebody. Resto Shaman does a lot of damage also on its own. You have the double eartherns. You can survive and do goes consistently, but you can also do a lot of pressure with a Resto Shaman on your team compared to the other two healers. So the R Shaman is the more bursty variant. I do still think Holy Pally and Evoker can be better, but you never know. Like you could play R Shaman and counter people who are running Holy Pally, Evoker, Druid and get more wins that way. So that's our first comp. Let's go on to the next one. WPX. All right, Warrior Priest Healer. You guys already know this is my comp. This is the comp that I have ran for years now at this point. Shadow Priest, Fury Arms, Holy Pally, Evoker. So let's go into why I chose this. So Fury or Arms. Fury got nerfed. Arms got buffed. Why do I think this is the way it's going to be? Did I spell Fury wrong? I think I spelled whatever. Doesn't matter. Fury can just run in and bash. Arms can just run in and bash the target, and while the Shadow Priest kites if all game, because they're going to most likely go the Shadow Priest, right? If they chain the Shadow Priest, you have the Pally on your team, right? You have freedoms, you have the sprints from your shields. If you're reading Feather, you have sprints from the Feather. You have your own fade. You have MD on your side. You have Bop and Sack from the Pally. So you can essentially keep the Shadow Priest alive while the Warrior is killing somebody. You run a all-in, no casted AoE spec with the Shadow Priest, so he never has to cast. So he's just running, killing everybody while he's being trained. So the damage is still there. And then you just set up your 3-2-1, right? 3-2-1. Stormbolt, Spear, Mind Games, Mind Bender, throw your stuff out, and then you start running again. Eventually, you're gonna win with the MS from the Warrior, with the Siphon from the Shadow Priest, with the AoE Cleave. You're gonna eventually just win into the first couple of goes. It's not really a dampening comp at this point, and if you play the Pally, because Pally can't really last into dampening with their mana issues. But it realistically, you could just do goes. Pally can drink, but the preservation side is for games that you think would go longer, right? If you're playing into like, I don't know, LSD or MLX or Shadow Play or whatever. If you're fighting against that comp, it's gonna last a long time theoretically if they play properly and you want to have an evoker on your team for that one, right? Evoker is very well at keeping people alive with dots and cleaves, so shadow play, which would normally be really hard for WPX, becomes a lot more easy, and cleaving comps become more easy, especially with melee, right? The evoker can come in, grab the shadow priest, bring him away, warrior can leap away. You have the shroud, so they can't get CC'd instantly. So there's a lot of mechanics with the evoker that keeps this comp in its longevity, right? I personally like the Pally version just because I can kite all day with the Pally version, but both are going to be extremely good in my opinion. FPX, normally FPS, but again, Shaman in this comp is not going to be viable to my knowledge. The reason I say that is cleaves are very hard at the moment for shamans to heal through, like DH, DK, TSG. We have, with testing with, Bubble Buddies, my healer plays a shaman also, and we have found that cleaves are very hard for shaman. There's gonna be a lot of cleaves in this season, so not only that, just the casters that are part of the hybrid comps cleave also. So I feel like Holy Pally is really good in this, just because you have most druids are not going cyclone. They could go cyclone, but most ferals are opting out of it, to my knowledge. I'm not a feral druid, don't quote me on that, but I haven't seen anybody use it really. And sorry, I have a tickle. So you're gonna want to have the extra stun and CC it from the Pally with the repentances, right? So you can stun, silence, or silence, stun, repentance, fear off of his repentance, things like that. Feral Druid stuns the kill target, can follow up with kicks and whatever, roots or whatever on anyone else. So you have the peels that way. And then again, you can kite all day with the freedom. And since Feral and Shadow Priest are generally squishy, Shadow Priest is a little bit tankier than normal this expansion, but Feral's pretty tanky, or pretty squishy. You want to have those instant outs, like here's a bop, here's a sack, run away. So I think Pally's good there. On the other side, you could play a dampening version of it, where you play with the evoker, where essentially you just run at a target, spread pressure, spread bleeds. Feral can spread bleeds, right, with their ability that they have. Shadow Priest can run a cleave build, and you just run into dampening, just like the other specs, right, or the other comps. You just run into dampening. People can't live the pressure. Evoker's super good on mana, super good efficient AoE healing, cleave healing, the sustainability. So either version is really good. If you notice, Holy Pally, Preservation are the healers I've been using in all these comps, because there's two variants of the comp that you could run. Just like in Shadowlands, you had Holy Pally variants and Shaman variants that you would play in Shadowlands, right? Well, this is the new version of the two comps you can play with the same DPS. So I think this is a great comp. I think it's going to melt face. People are not going to be able to handle the pressure early on. And so that's why I think this comp is good for especially starting players, right? People aren't going to really be able to live through the pressure. Now, that also has to, you guys, by saying starting players, feral Jews have to know what they're doing in this comp. It really relies on the feral knowing how to kite to make FPS work. So just keep that in mind, all right? Next up, God comp. Okay. This comp, I have just, I don't even have words for this right now. I have played this comp with 3 or 4 different Arcane mages at this point. And every one of them, granted are high experience, they just destroy everyone. Like, if whoever they go in this comp, the other person is one-shotting the team. It's actually insane how strong I think this comp's going to be. Arcane Mage, if you go to Shadow Priest, Arcane Mage is going to melt the team. If you go to Arcane Mage, he's going to kite. Shadow Priest is going to cleave your team. I don't even know. I'm really scared to queue into this comp alone. Not, but I'm also very excited to play it myself. It's definitely going to be, I think, one of the best comps this season, even after everything that's been changing, mainly because a lot of magic negation and defenses have been reduced for DKs, DHs, and so on. Rogues with their healing with vanishes and all that. So essentially everyone's a kill target in this comp, and I'm very excited. I just recommend picking it up. You have all the CC in the world. You can get an Evoker, or you can get an Arjude in this comp. I feel those are gonna be the two best, because you have Shadow Priest being trained. You just want to be able to sustain without going against melee. So Holy Pally wouldn't be very good in my opinion, because they're gonna go gain trained. Druid on your ghost can just go drink. Every time you have a he goes drink, so that alleviates the mana issue. And then Evoker just doesn't have mana issues. So and you have this, cross CC is insane, right? Stun, silence. You have poly on the off target, stun, silence, cyclone into a poly onto another target, into a cyclone on another target. So you have so much cross CC in this as well that you can just peel and run all game as well. So I'm very excited. Like if you can't tell, I'm very hyped for this comp. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm glad Arcane Mage is in the game. I love Arcane. I do wish Frost is a little bit more viable, but I do love this comp at the moment. So pick it up and try it. All right. Wow, this is everyone should have known this is coming. Shadowplay. This is going to be the most oppressive comp in the game, in my opinion, of all the comps in the game. Not just for shadowpriest. I feel like shadowplay is going to run people over, especially the Demolock variant. Yes, I know all locks got nerfed. That means they can die, but they also had a bug, right, where they took like 70% reduced damage or 60% reduced damage with the whole Soul Link bug. I get that. That doesn't mean their damage is not there anymore. They didn't nerf their damage. So Demolock damage is actually just insane. A good Demolock will just run people over. You put that with a good Shadow Priest, with all the CC and the cleave on top of that. You're really just going to be going out of cooldowns without any cooldowns being popped on the Shadowplay side. You're going to be like, whoa, I'm just dying. I got to do this. I got a wall. I got a trinket. I got a bubble. And they didn't pop anything. You're just dying to passive damage. And that's why this comp is just going to be so oppressive. Whoever they hit is going to end up dying. And then you have the MS from the Demolock. Let's say you throw a Siphon in there. If you know they're going to Demolock, just run Siphon as a Shadow Priest. And then you have Demolock and Shadow Priest MS. People are like, whoa. And now that you can shield Siphons, you can shield your Siphon so it can't get broken instantly. Forces people to use movement to get to your Siphon. Gets them off the Demolock. Demolock starts free casting. Or vice versa. They go to Shadow Priest, Void Volley, all in, AoE cleave, the Warlock's free casting. It's just... yeah, I've played against it enough, and I've played it enough to know this is going to be one of those comps that everyone's just like, nerf them! Nerf them! But, yeah, find yourself a good Warlock, or find yourself a good Shadow Priest if you're a Warlock watching this. Healers, Mistweaver, Evoker, Druid. Why? You guys should already know. These are all the dampening healers, right? You want to have dampening healers when you're playing Shadowplay, because you're going to play longevity matches into this, right? Your cleave and dot-based comp, you're going to be getting cooldowns, they're going to run out of mana, and then dampening is going to ramp. They won't be able to heal your damage. You just hit whoever in PvE, and then you win with your... you can also do your setup ghost to win, but you're going to end up winning on just sheer attrition and pressure. So having a Mistweaver who doesn't go can port, can't get CC'd, can run in and leg sweep, disarm, go, stuff like that. Preservation Evoker runs in, grabs the Warlock away, then he can gateway, then he can take his portal. You have Druid, you can go drink on your ghost, kind of like the God comp. You have the roots to keep him off you guys. You have the cyclones to keep him off you guys. You have the instant heals. You have the sustainability through iron barks and such to keep you alive while they're being CC'd. And they can't get... it's harder for them to get CC'd. So, Shadowplay, guys. Oh, man. Another one. Shadowplay and God comp are looking so good. I am playing WPX as my main team, but I'm leveling my alt, and I swear I am going to play these comps to the ground. I am very excited for this on my alt, just because they look so much fun. But I do have that main team, so I do play with who I play with. But that's where the alts come in. So if you guys have these classes, go ahead and come to the channel, twitch.tv/Aphobia Gaming, and we'll run it up on stream. It'll be fun. But yeah, some honorable mentions before people are like, whoa, what about this? Some honorable mentions: Ellie Shadow Priest heals, DH Shadow Priest heals, and Windwalker Shadow Priest heals. Windwalker Shadow Priest heals I have played myself during Shadowlands. Got it. I think that was my season 2 glad in Shadowlands with this comp. It still feels pretty good right now. Big damage, kiting. The only difference is Windwalkers are a lot more susceptible to dying than they were beforehand, it seems like. And but the damage is still there, so you can do hit and run tactics like a kind of like a RPS, and you can end up winning. It just requires a Windwalker to know very well about their positioning and their in and outs. So I don't know how I'd feel about playing that myself at the moment, but it is a good comp that you could easily push with. Same thing with Demon Hunter, right? They lost their survivability coming here tomorrow with the reset. They lose a lot of survivability. But they still do a lot of oppressive damage, so you can just play a cleave build, play a attrition build and kind of do the same thing you would do with a warrior, just without as many peels for yourself, right? You don't have very many peels for the shadow priest. I don't DR the peels for the shadow priest, so your CC is not going to be there on your go. And then LA shadow priest heals. I want this. I would say this would be your number 6 comp. If I had a top 6, this is my top 5 list. But if I had a top 6, this would be on there. LA shadow priest heals. LA, everything they do is proc based. Shadow priest proc based and AOE, and then heals. I do think this is like a notch below shadow play, so that's why I don't want to put it up there as one of the caster cleaves. And I don't think it's. I think it's a notch below God comp, or else it would be in the top 5. But you don't have as many peels for each other. It's all proc based on RNG, and you can do goes, yes, but a lot of it's just like, hey, I got this. This happened, and there's not as much survivability on the team, so that's why it's not in the top 5. But I do think any of these are able to get easy rating. So don't count these out. They are honorable mentions. All right, guys, that is my top 5 composition list for Shadow Priest coming into season 1. Again, this is my list. You guys can agree to disagree, like in my last video. This is just my opinion. I'm sure there's other opinions out there. That's why there's so many different lists out there. But you guys let me know what you think. Leave a comment and a like, please. It really goes a long way. You guys don't understand how much that helps. And then again, come to twitch.tv/Aphobia Gaming. You guys can just lurk the channel. Like I said, we're getting up there pretty high now, and we're trying to go for our partner again. We had it almost last year, so we're trying to get back at it. So if you guys just want to come on by, say what's up, say hello, and I'll keep making content for y'all. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.